Okay, for this question, since I have never personally taken bioidentical hormones, I thought I would bring in somebody who has more firsthand experience in bioidentical hormone replacement therapy.
I am a guest on my boyfriend's Q&A show. I made it, people. Okay, so it's not a secret that I'm no spring chicken.
I think it is kind of a secret.
It is?
Yeah.
It is? Okay, so I'm no spring chicken, but I got a lot of spring in my steps. I feel extremely youthful. I feel very young, partly thanks to this guy. 2 weeks ago.
And lots of chocolate.
And lots of chocolate. Well, 2 weeks ago, at a milestone, like at a big number of birthday, but I'm not going to tell you guys what that was, just for the heck of it, right? But what happened is we were already together, and we've been together nearly 9 years. So a couple of years into our relationships, I started developing pretty crappy migraines, and I didn't understand why. So what I started doing is I created a little spreadsheet. I like being organized. So I did a little bit of a spreadsheet when I put in all kinds of different markers all throughout the month, all throughout my cycle. And I started to see if I see any patterns. And yes, some patterns did emerge. So when I finally met a very lovely bioidentical hormone doctor woman, and I went to see her and I took this chart, it really gave her extra tools to be able to diagnose. Insight. Yeah, that's a good word. I like to use very fancy and dramatic words, but that's why you guys listen to him, because he makes things more simple and understandable.
Tools is not fancier than insight.
All right, thank you.
Okay, she gave you insights,
and was able to diagnose what she thought I needed. So at that time, she gave me it about 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, this July. She put me on a full-on bioidentical hormone replacement program. She gave me a bit of testosterone, DHEA, pregnenolone, and what I needed the most, that was progesterone. I was lacking. I was like down in the dumps in my progesterone, and that was the cause of my migraines. And my migraines went away. I was so happy. It was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. It really helped me. But the most important thing is, what I understood when I went on this program, she actually didn't give me estrogen at the time. A year later, gave me a very tiny one. But I told her that I know, because of my experiences and the way I was always testing myself, I like to be on top of things.
Because you were genetic testing.
Genetic testing, but what I'm trying to say is, if you get on a bioidentical program, do not leave all the power and all the information, all the decision making in your doctor's hands. You have to be responsible. You have to be on top of it. Do a test before, so you have a baseline, and 3 months later check, and 3 months later check again. And I think one of the most important things you can do before you get on a bioidentical hormone, get your genetic testing done, and also a urine test that can show you how you are metabolizing your hormones. So these two items, these two insights and tools are also good to have before you go and see a doctor.
If I may, the reason that's so important.
I was getting that.
No.
But you know what? I like when you talk, not just me. So if you want to talk about it, I love you to tell us.
Okay, thank you for letting me still feel important and needed.
What can I say? I need you always. I love it.
So what you need to be aware of here is that, especially if you're taking bioidentical estrogen, that can potentially be metabolized into the body into things like 16-alpha-hydroxyestrone, which can potentially be bad news, potentially raise risk factors for breast cancer, etc. And you may also know from your genetic testing that you are not a great genetic detoxifier of estrogen, and for that reason may be in a higher risk situation there. I got to be really careful.
Case in point, that was my problem. And since I had my genetic testing done in 2002, I was well aware of not being able to metabolizing and detoxifying my bad estrogens. So I was always on a preventative program to begin with. And I was very wary of doing any form of estrogen even then. So before you go on a bioidentical hormone program and you know that you will be getting estrogen, because as you're going through a different stage in your life, if you're going into perimenopause, menopause, and your doctor wants to give you estrogen, make sure that you know how you would be detoxifying or how your body would be using that excess estrogen, just to make sure that it will go through your body and do not start accumulating in places where you do not want that.
And it's not a bad idea to get a second opinion here, because I have family members who were put on bioidentical estrogen by a doctor who has that as a very central part of her practice. And guess what? They both got breast cancer. They've fortunately survived, but they still, you can only tell people so much. They still have 100% and complete faith in that doctor and continue along that path. It's a crazy situation, but yeah, you got to be really, really careful with the estrogen side of things.
Yes, I've been so cautious. So I'm going back to because what I can do is just share my experiences, share my journey. Everybody else's is different. Your hormone, your genetic makeup, your lifestyle, whatever you're taking, your diet, your emotions, your support group, everything is going to be impacting your hormone health. So what I can do is just share what happened to me, okay? So when I got on the tiny amount of estrogen, I got immediately so sick. My body was just like, what are you doing? Get this stuff out of here. I started getting my migraines back because progesterone and estrogen, they always have to be in balance. They have to get along. If one of them gets out of whack, you will feel it, you will know it. So I stopped taking it. I'm like, okay, I know I'm taking too much. So I took a bit of a break. I would be taking my calcium diclocurate, DIM, and goji extracts, which always been my best friends, helping me manage and detox my excess estrogen. And then 2 months later, I started back with just half a dose. So I was doing quite well with that. But by that time, Sage, who is my Sage advisor, if I could be corny enough to say that, he put me on, and it was December 9th last year when I started taking NMN in a pill form.
Yeah.
And
it was sublingual, but
sublingual.
not liposomal yet. It wasn't yet available as liposomal.
And then in the middle of March, I got on NMN liposomal form.
The first shipment from the first company that came out with it. I got her on that stuff.
I got it. So why don't you tell us more about what NMN is, and then I will get back to the other things.
Sure. So NMN is called nicotinamide mononucleotide. It's a precursor to NAD, which is a very important part in the functioning of the mitochondria and production of ATP, which is pure cellular energy. Anytime you make your mitochondria healthier, anytime you make more ATP, everything is going to work better in your body. And NMN has even been found in animal studies to make it to the way of the ovaries and increase NAD levels in the ovaries, which is where a lot of your hormones are being manufactured. So this can be very powerful. And animal studies that was actually just published, I want to say it was February or March, fairly recently in this year, 2020, showed an incredible reversal of age-related infertility in elderly mice. So there's some very powerful stuff going on here with regards to fertility, hormone production, etc. And so, AnnaBlanca, why don't you tell the lovely people what your experience was?
I just wanted to say one more thing when I was talking about testing yourself when you're getting on something, and every 3 months just check how it's affecting your system, if there is a progress, or if there is no point, no point spending money on something if it has absolutely no effect on your body. I regularly do blood tests, full hormone panel and full thyroid panel, just to see where I'm at that point. Also, I did the Meridian Valley and Dutch test, which are urine tests that do a 24 hours check of how you're doing it each time of the day with your hormones. And right now I'm doing a ZRT Laboratories cycle mapping. You start on day 7 of your cycle, and every 2 days in the morning you pee and dip the paper and dry it for 24 hours and put it in the fridge, etc. So these are also good things to know, because the more information you have about your body, the better decisions you can make. Of course, with your doctor. So, but not every doctor can be behind your back every moment of your day just to keep telling you what to do. So you have to be a partner with your physician, with your advisor. You have to be committed and you have to educate yourself, because we have to take charge of our own health with help and good advice.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, if you want to wield such powerful tools as bioidentical hormones, it's like if you... What's an example? This is going to be a polarizing one, but like guns. If you want to go,
use a sword.
Okay, yeah, fine, sword. Like
sword.
if you go to like lessons on how to use a sword,
A katana.
and like you take one lesson, you still have to be careful when you go use it at home. You can't just like swing that thing around, toss it up in the air, and try to catch it. Like, you have to be smart about it and play safely and play by the rules and by your training, etc. So I think that applies in the area of bioidentical hormones for sure, because they're very powerful tools. You guys hear me when I talk about hormone health say these are the master switches of all areas of your health, where now you're coming in with bioidentical yet exogenous master switch influencers. So you want to be smart about what you're doing.
Exactly, I fully agree. So they were really amazing in my body for this year and a half. And I started taking the NMN, and what happened is that the bioidentical hormones started to be too much. So I stopped the estrogen by February, because I just knew, like, I don't need this. And then I stopped the testosterone by April. I quit the DHEA and the pregnenolone July.
Just to clarify, what is happening is that she was able to start naturally producing more hormones again, as we can only hypothesize resulted from the NMN supplementation. So the bioidentical hormones she was taking were then pushing her levels to too high, because where she wasn't making much before, and then she had to get to a good level using bioidentical hormones. Now she's taking NMN that pushes her own levels up higher. Now, if you don't change the bioidentical hormones, then you're too high. That's also a problem.
Oh, yes. I was breaking out and I didn't understand what was happening. I'm like, why? I never had this kind of strange acne, and it was in this area and it was hormonal. I'm like, but I'm doing so well. I had too much. So I quit the DHEA, pregnenolone, testosterone, everything else. The one thing I'm still taking is 10 milligram of progesterone every day, because that I do need quite a bit. I just know my body does. And so my tests tell me as well. The last hormone test I took was 2 weeks ago. I just got it back last week. And I'm happy to say my hormones are on a level of what I would have had like 20 years ago. Damn, I have to say thank you, honey.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I love bioidentical hormones. They were great help to me. And I'm a huge fan of NMN. They are even bigger help to me. And just please make sure that you have all the background information, hormone test, bioidentical hormone test, full thyroid test, genetic test, and the urine test that will show you how you're metabolizing everything. So these are the tools that can give somebody else an insight to figure out what is the best for you.